Hello, everyone. Okay, we're gonna try out some microphones today. I might switch back and forth between this one, and just have you guys tell me which one you like better. But my dad's watching TV, so that's why we're kind of trying these out. Because I don't want you guys to have to deal with that background sound the whole time. We're gonna do a wrap up today, and it's gonna be kind of quick. I have a video from 2 weeks ago that I still haven't edited. Um, so this might be out before that, and then we'll just go back in time when that one finally gets out. Okay, so I read 9 books this month, and the average star rating was 4.3. This has been my highest average star rating the entire year. So there were a lot of good books, a lot of highly rated books this month. I think only one book was rated lower than a 4-star. So I had a great month this month. It was kind of crazy with my work schedule and everything, but honestly, I impressed myself with how much I actually read this month with everything that I had going on. So first, I read The Frontrunner by Elsie Silver. This is part of her first series that she ever wrote. This is the 3rd book in it. And I gave this one a 3.75. This one is about Mira, the vet, and Stefan DeLuca, which is another owner of another ranch within this town area place. And just their relationship, it's a romance, it's a cute little you think in the first 2 books that Stefan is like just jerky and so mean and so rude, and you don't like him at all in the first 2 books because the main characters in those, they're kind of enemies with him and his farm, or him and his ranch. But in this book, you kind of get to see his point of view and why he acts the way that he acts, and you kind of get to see a softer side to him, and just the way that he interacts with Mira was so cute. And I honestly didn't think that I was gonna like reading about him when I found out that this was his book, but I actually really loved it. The next book I read was Elizabeth Smart's book called My Story, just about her experience that happened when she was a teenager of being kidnapped and being held basically hostage and prisoner for 9 months. And I gave this book 5 stars. It was absolutely insane what she went through and how she still held firm to her beliefs even through all the terrible things that she went through. And just absolutely incredible, like what people can go through and what gets them through hard things, especially those type of things where it would be totally understandable for her to totally say the opposite of what she used to believe before because of all the bad things that happened to her and all that she had to go through. But the fact that she went through that and still held firm to what she believed in and didn't give up. I think that was really cool. Definitely teared up a lot. It was a really good book. Actually, one of the students at one of my high schools that I work at lent it to me to read, and we talked about it after, and it was so good. Okay, back to the fluffy mic. The next book I read was The Caged Graves. I don't know who it's by. This person, whatever it says right here. I gave it a 4 stars, and this I actually loaned out from one of the high schools that I work at, the library. Gave it to me to read, and it was so good. It was a YA, so it was more of a mystery, so there wasn't any spice or anything. There was still a little bit of romance, which I did appreciate, but there was still a lot of mystery and kind of almost like a witchy element to it. It was set back in the 1800s, I believe, where this girl, she comes back to the farm that she used to live on before her mom died. She sees that her mom's grave and her aunt's grave have cages over them, And basically, you're going through this story of like, why are there cages over these graves? Is it because they were witches? Is it because people think that there is treasure buried with their bodies? Is it to protect them from grave robbers? All that kind of thing. And so you're kind of going through this story with this girl who is 17 years old, and she's trying to figure out why there's cages on these graves, and because there's also lore about treasure from the Civil War that went missing that her dad and her uncle supposedly found. So, kind of just going through the mystery of that. And then you get a little bit of romance in it because she actually came home to be able to get married to this boy that she's been writing, that his family lives there, and he like knows her dad really well. But it was really good. All right, back to this microphone. I'm just gonna keep switching, and you guys tell me what sounds better on your end, because it sounds, I was testing this out with my friend, and she says this one sounds better, but on my phone the other one sounds better. So I'm gonna kind of let you guys decide, and maybe I'll switch it up every now and then. But the next book I read was In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle, and so my friend Kim, she got this for me for my birthday this year, and she gave it to me while we were on vacation together earlier in October. And so I started reading this out loud to us while we were on that vacation, and it was so good. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the beginning, and I'll tell you my rating too. So my rating was a 4-star. I did really love it. I cried. It was really good. But so there's this girl who it starts off, she gets engaged. She gets the job promotion that she's been wanting for years. She's a lawyer, and so she's been really wanting to make partner, or whatever it's called, at this company that she works at. She has been dating this guy for like 4 years, and they're getting engaged finally. And just like all these good things are happening in her life the way that she planned for it to happen. Then, when they go home, she falls asleep and she wakes up in a room that is not hers, in clothes that are not hers, in a bed that is not hers, with a man there who is not her fiance. So, she asks him, she's kind of like, oh my gosh, where am I? I didn't drink that much at dinner. Like, what happened? Did I get kidnapped? Like, drugged? What is going on? And she asks him what the date is, and he tells her that it's actually 5 years in the future of the night that she got engaged. And so she is freaking out, thinking, how am I supposed to get back to my fiance and my life before? And what led me to this point in my life that it's totally different than what it was 5 years ago. So she gets to spend an hour there with him, and then she actually gets back to her present when she goes back to sleep. So then she basically goes for 4.5 years, like, wondering if she's ever going to meet this guy. And I'll just leave it at that. And just kind of the different paths that life can take you. It definitely makes you think about what can change in such a short amount of time, in just 5 years, like how much of your life can be different depending on choices that you make, or just things that happen in your life. And yeah, it was so good. It's so good. Please read this, guys. I know that her other book, One Italian Summer, is really popular, but honestly, I love this one so much. And then I read Funny Story by Emily Henry, and I got it on my Kindle, and I gave it a 4.75. And I usually try to wait until those books come out in paperback before I read them, because all my other books that I have of hers are paperback. And so I was like waiting, and I kept seeing TikToks and people reviewing it in YouTube videos. And I decided I couldn't wait any longer. And so I bought it on Kindle, and I breezed through it. I think I read it in 2 sittings, and it was so good. So most of you already know what Funny Story is about, but to give you kind of a vague overview, is there's Miles and Daphne, and the people that they were dating and engaged to break off their relationships and engagements with those two so that the people that they were dating can get together and get engaged, if that makes any sense. So Daphne's fiance breaks off the engagement with her, and Miles's girlfriend breaks up with him, and then they get together. And so then Daphne has nowhere to go because she was living in her fiance's apartment with him because they were going to get married. And so then she asks Miles if she can move in together, even though they don't know each other. So she moves in with him and is kind of like just his roommate until she can get her own place. And it's just like two people coming together after going through basically the same situation and seeing that those people were actually very good for them, and what they actually deserve is somebody much better and that actually cares about them and that is not just with them because it looks good or because they're fun. And it's a romance, so you know they fall in love. And it's just Emily Henry has just a way of writing that is so beautiful and so emotional that it feels like you're there. It feels like you are the character that is all this stuff is happening to, and that they're going through all this stuff. It feels like you're them. And she just does such a phenomenal job of writing stuff that is so engaging for the reader. I loved it. It's so good. I'm so excited for the paperback to come out. Also, I'm so excited for her next book to come out this spring. It's going to be so good. I know it already. I know it. Oh my gosh. I could go on like miles and miles about that. So I'm not going to, but I could. And then I continued The Girl from the Other Side. This is the deluxe edition 2. So this is volumes 4 through 6. And I gave it a 4.5 star. It was so good. I feel like we're learning more about the mystery of what the curse is and how people get the curse and why. And I think we're getting closer to how are we going to cure this curse, or how do we heal people from it. And I'm very interested in Teacher's backstory, and I hope that it tells us more about his backstory and who he is, because we get to see little snippets of it every now and then, but he doesn't have a lot of his memory left still, and so we don't get to see a ton about it. But I hope that if we do get to the point where they find a cure for it, I hope that they cure him and that he tells us more about like his family and where he's from, what happened to him, and just more about him, because I love his character so much, actually. And I love that he's different from the other outside beings, and his relationship with Shiva. So, also, I love this art in this book. It's been so fun and beautiful. Yeah. Then I read Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the last book in the trilogy. The first 2 books are Belladonna and Foxglove. And this concludes the trilogy. So the first 2 books are from Cigna's point of view, and this one's actually from her cousin Blythe's point of view. And without giving too much away, Blythe made a deal with one of the characters that gets introduced in the second book. And she is basically, in this book, dealing with the outcome of making that deal and trying to hold up her end of the bargain. And just kind of trying to navigate different relationships that she has with the different people in these books. Because it's the end of the trilogy, I can't really tell you much more than that, other than I love this trilogy so much. The second book is probably my favorite, and I gave this book a 4.5 rating, and it's so good. Then I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and I loved it. I love a good brother's best friend, childhood friends to lovers. All of these, all the books in this is it Rose Hill, in the Rose Hill series, are going to be single parent tropes. So he finds out that he has a child, basically, within the first few chapters. And he's trying to grapple with now being a parent. And his name's Ford. And then Rosie moves home because she gets fired from her job, and you find out why, and you find out basically it's for the best. It's for the best. But she moves home and she reconnects with Ford, and basically they work out a deal where she's going to help him basically get his company going because he wants to start a music, what's it called? A label. He wants to start a recording studio label in Rose Hill, and he has the property and everything already, and he has made several different businesses that have made him into a billionaire. So he is very rich, very rich. But just the history that these two have and the way that they talk, the banter, so good, the banter, and just the teasing and I don't know, their relationship with each other even before they admit that they like each other is so good. I love Elsie Silver's books. She could write a grocery shopping list and I would still read it and be entertained. That's how much I love her books. And I gave this one a 4.25 star. This Spells Love by Kate Robb. I gave this one a 3.5. Yes. So in the first little bit of this book, Gemma ends up getting dumped by her ex-boyfriend Stuart, and she gets together and has drinks with her sister, her aunt, and her best friend Dax. And between all of them, she gets drunk out of her mind, basically. And her aunt says, "Hey, I got the spell book," because she runs a little bookstore, like a new and used bookstore. And her aunt says, "Oh, in the donation bin, I got a spell book that came in. Let's see if it has anything for you." So she pulls it out, and they do a forgetting spell. I thought this was going to be like they were witches. No, this is just normal people doing a spell, and it works. And whoa, my camera's moving. She does the spell, and it works, but it works too well. And the night that she met Stuart disappears. But that's also the night that she met her best friend Dax. And so that entire night disappears. So in this new reality, she actually never met her best friend either. So she has to try and get him to basically become her best friend again. And she starts to fall in love with him along the way. It was really cute and just a really fun little October read. Honestly, it's so heavy on the romance that you really don't have to read this during spooky season either. Like, now that Halloween's passed, you could still read it, and it's just fun vibes. And it's just, yeah, best friends to lovers. Who doesn't like that? And then at the end of the book, she has to decide whether she wants to go back to her regular reality or if she wants to stay in the one that she has now basically built up for herself while she's been there. Alrighty, these are all the books that I read in October and what I rated them and kind of what they were about and what I thought about them. Stick around for my video that was supposed to come out like 3 weeks ago, because it will be out soon. And I will be seeing you guys later. Okay, bye.